Next speaker. For years, not a lot of people knew that fellow mom, Rochelle Gorey, was also the CEO of a financial tech startup. She kept a lower profile at work as well until the day came when she could hide her gifts no more. Rochelle talks about the real impact of sharing your gifts with the world. Rochelle Gorey.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks, Cindy. It sounded so dramatic. It's not that. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Speaking in front of people is not my favorite activity. It's like my least favorite activity along with working out, but I still do it because I know it's good for me. So here I am. Is it? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I did always want to be a singer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rochelle Gorey. I live in Downers Grove here with my husband, Larry, my two daughters, Claire and Audrey. And I know a lot of you, or have seen a lot of you from like preschool days, play dates, but mostly these days I have play dates with my dog and my dog friends. But there's this whole other side of me that probably a lot of you don't know, because for a long time I kept it hidden. Not really hidden, but I didn't talk about it much, and I still don't really talk about it much. But here's the thing. I grew up poor. I grew up in a low-income family, a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. And at different periods in my life, my mom had to use food stamps. I got discounted or free lunches at school. And when I went to college at Michigan State, I received financial aid. There wasn't a lot of extra money in my household, but I always had what I needed. A roof over my head, loving parents, friends, and I had definitely a lot of good times with friends and family. I didn't have the best clothes, the fanciest car, the nicest house, but I was surrounded by people who knew that money did not define you, nor did it determine your future. Yet I always felt so ashamed. I wanted the bigger house, the nicer car. I wanted Guess jeans in junior high. I wanted those jeans so bad. I got Jordache, but not Guess. However, I've come to realize that growing up without a lot of money has been one of the biggest and most important hidden gifts in my life. And it's probably led me to the single most important aspect of my life, and it's led me to do great things. You see, because this is so unnatural.
Let's take it out. Let's take it out. Yeah. Are you okay?
Okay, sure. I got a clip too. Oh, okay. Oh, that was supposed to be when I opened. But now wait, she did that.
Yeah.
So I run a tech company, but the big secret is I am the worst person at technology. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Okay, so I grew up in this family living paycheck to paycheck. My dad was a social worker and then later alcohol and drug therapist, and my mom was a job coach for developmentally disabled. So great jobs, great purpose, not great salaries. So we didn't have a lot of money. So it's taken me a really long time to get away from the shame that comes from not having a lot of money. And even though we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, I now can see what a gift it was to have parents. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. There's my parents. Parents who spent their lives helping others and modeling that for me. It's led me to a life and a career where I've always been drawn to solving problems and helping people. I know what it's like to have to rely on outside resources to make ends meet during certain periods in my life. And I've spent my entire life work helping the poor, helping those that didn't have a lot, but were working to have enough, fighting for those that did not have the same access to good housing, good schools, and other community assets that people with higher income and better neighborhoods have. Tonight, I want to share with you my journey as the founder and CEO of a financial technology company that's helping people who have financial challenges, people who deserve help. I'm the founder and CEO. I think these are out of order, but okay. I'm the founder and CEO of Spring 4. We're an award-winning social impact fintech company, financial technology, that helps people who are experiencing financial challenges get back on track so they can begin to save again. We started our company because I saw way too many families who were losing their homes to foreclosure because they didn't know where to turn for help when they needed it most. Unfortunately, when people are having financial challenges, there's a lot of shame attached, so it's not like they're going around telling their neighbors, hey, I can't pay my bills, do you know where I should turn for help? And so because of my long history of working in community organizations, I knew that there were lots of nonprofits and government resources out there that could help people if we could just figure out how to create the technology to make that connection. So at our company, at Spring 4, we really believe that when people are having financial challenges, it's because something's happening in their financial lives that makes it impossible for them to pay. So, you know, good people, bad things can happen to good people, unexpected medical expenses, a car repair, even, you know, having a kid make a travel soccer team. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you know, you don't always have that money, so what do? So that's why we started our company, to try and connect people to those resources that could help. And what I've realized is that my personal experience and the mission that's come from it has really proven to be a huge gift for me. It's given me credibility, and it's shown up in my passion and my authenticity, and it's helped me become a leader in an industry, and it's definitely been something that I was reluctant to be. So, you know, that's who I am today. I'm an entrepreneur, which I think is just a fancy name for someone who takes a risk and probably is a little bit crazy because you think, oh, I'll do, you know, I'm gonna try something that's not been done before. And in thinking about this talk, I realized that I've probably always been a little bit of an entrepreneur. This is me in the first grade when I started my rock selling business. Yes, I tried to sell rocks, and it was probably also my first big failure. Surprisingly, there's not a huge market out there for small dirt grade rocks. And also, side note, I look like I've been crying in this picture because my teacher told me that I was talking too much in class right before the school pictures, and I was so sad. So before I started my company, I was a community organizer, I was a policy advocate, and I spent time in DC, like Janine. I forgot we had that in common. Meeting with people like the Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan, many US senators and congressmen. I also had the opportunity to work with Barack Obama before he was president. And I had the unique experience of only having 2 bosses before I started my company. And both of these bosses were the best in their field, so it really led me to have some amazing career opportunities when I was only in my 20s. I wrote testimony, I presented at hearings, and I even had some of my work published. Sometimes under my own name, and sometimes, that's me back in the day, and sometimes as a ghostwriter for my boss. My work appeared in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and other publications. And some of this work even involved organizing large protests with thousands of grassroots community leaders who were the true experts in their communities who were demanding policy change. It was super exciting. My boss used to say when we were holding these protests to the people that we were trying to get a meeting with, that they ought to see it as a compliment, because it meant that those that were protesting, they still believed in the system, and they really just wanted it to work for them like it had worked for all, you know, other people. So again, I spent my career and this time in my life advocating for those less fortunate. I then led innovation for a large nonprofit, and I worked as a consultant. All of these things involved innovating, creating programs and policies, and generally trying to change the way people had done things, trying to get them to do things differently. All of this was excellent prep work for my job as a founder and CEO, in which I was trying to get banks to do things differently, to see their customers in a new light, those that were having a hard time paying, to treat them differently and with a greater amount of respect. And I realized that all of this prepared me as best as one could be prepared for the founder's journey and that perhaps all along, while I hadn't been an entrepreneur, I was an intrapreneur. I had spent my career working for change from the inside, and now as I embarked on my company's journey, I was working from change from the outside. I had one of those aha moments that made me realize I had always been an entrepreneur of sorts, but I had to grow into it. I was very reluctant. So when we first started our company, I wasn't the CEO. My co-founder and I, this is him, Michael Collins. We started the company, we owned the company 50-50, and he was the CEO and president. I don't even remember what my title was, but he was the CEO. And about 3 years in, he was studying to get his PhD, so he landed a teaching job at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and so he no longer had the time to devote to our company. But I think maybe also he was thinking, this isn't really going anywhere, I'm just gonna do something different. So I became the CEO, I bought out some of his shares, we brought in a couple other partners, and I now own 60% of the company. And when I became the CEO, I had a huge amount of fear and doubt about being the CEO. I didn't really want to be the CEO, but since he didn't have time, I really had no choice. But the reality is I didn't think I was good enough to be the CEO, and I didn't want to be the company face, and I didn't want to have to do the things that a CEO had to do. But here's the thing, I did it, and I've helped our company to be more successful than I think any of us anticipated or expected. So one of the things that I want to leave with you here tonight is to not doubt yourself, that you will rise to any challenge that's put in front of you. And so a few years after becoming the CEO, I was mostly working from my kitchen table, and we were having moderate success, but I still found myself, I would still keep saying no to travel and other opportunities that would have helped grow our company. Mostly because I didn't want to do any public speaking or be on panels or presentations. I liked staying home, hidden. But then I went to this conference, and it was there that I first heard the term financial health. And everyone, this entire conference, it was all about financial health. And I remember thinking, what the heck, this is what we do. This is what we've been doing for 9 years. But nobody really knew about it. They didn't know about our company, and they didn't know what we were doing. And so I got mad. I got really mad. I got mad at the people at the conference and the companies that were there that didn't know about us. But really, I was mad at myself for not putting myself out there, for not doing the things that made me afraid. And I realized if I didn't stop being afraid, I wouldn't be able to help as many people. And just like the people I was trying to help that deserve to know about financial health resources, people deserve to know about our company. They deserve to know about Spring 4. So it was after that realization that I really started to pour myself and everything into my company and push myself to take it to the next level. But even doing so scared the heck out of me. So then later that summer, we applied for a national award for our work, and we won. Yay, very nice. So we won $100,000, no strings attached. I mean, that never happens. No strings attached, nothing. Except that I had to go to Washington, D.C. and give a speech, which really terrified me. But it also ended up being a huge highlight and opportunity for me. Winning that award was really pivotal moment for me and my company. The ironic thing is that the award was called the Empowerment Award. And I don't think I really realized it until I was writing this, that award really did empower me personally. So after the award, I got really gutsy when I got home, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna apply for this Startup Accelerator program. And even though it terrified me, because I knew a lot of these startup programs, like what you have to do at the end is you have to pitch in front of a room full of investors and all these people you don't know. And actually, I don't know if it's worse, like talking to people you know or like a crowd of people you don't know. But I was terrified. I didn't want to do it, but I'm like, okay, I've got to do it. Well, we didn't get chosen for that program, but we were a finalist. And so as a result of that, I was asked to join 1871, which is an incubator and ecosystem for startups in Chicago. And that's when things really started to change for our company. And from there, I really decided to face my fears, get up and away from the kitchen table, go into the city and work from there. And ever since then, our company and our reach has really accelerated and grown. We've really grown dramatically since then. And I think it's just really important to note that all of the things that have brought me and our company to where we are today, in themselves are small steps, small actions, but combined, they've led to really big things. And if someone told me that I'd be doing the things I'm doing today, I would have said, no way. But here's the thing, once you dive in, later, once you're in there, later you realize the things that made you so scared before are no longer scary. Now there's other things, of course, that I'm scared of. but those things that were terrifying before are not so bad. So today, here's some of my team. Today, we're on track this year. We're going to make over 1.5 million referrals to people in need. And we were actually just counting up our historical numbers, and we've made over 10 million referrals to people in need since we started the company. So that means that about 350,000 families this year will, through connections made through Spring 4, will become financially healthy. And what that means is, here's some examples. It means that a senior citizen who is paying $600 a month in prescription drugs that she couldn't afford is now paying $300. So that has freed up money in her household budget to allow her to be able to pay for other things. It means that a disabled veteran who was waiting on his disability checks can now afford to stay current on his mortgage and buy groceries for his family, because that's what he couldn't do both. And so now, because of Spring 4, he's not going to lose his home. So at Spring 4, we really are changing people's financial lives. We've built a technology platform that has over 12,000 resources in 360 cities, and we're still growing. And we provide employment for 8 people and have an outside tech team of 3. And we've worked with some of the largest financial institutions in the country, including U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BMO Harris, so some household names, including quite a few other organizations. We're a certified B Corporation, which what that means is we're one of only 2,200 organizations in the entire world that have received this designation. It means we hold ourselves and go through a certification process for social impact and environmental standards. And I'm really proud of this designation because it says to our customers and to the world that we're a purpose-driven company that's creating impact. Last year, we were a finalist for a Global Innovation Award. We didn't win, but we shared the stage with major companies and brands from around the country, or from around the world. And it was really humbling and incredibly validating for me personally, for our work and for our company that we built to be recognized in that way. We were also selected for the Points of Light Civic Accelerator program along with 12 other fintech companies. And at the end of that 3-month program, we were chosen as the top company. And I was also chosen as one of 50 social impact entrepreneurs from around the world and named to Chicago's 50 on Fire. And this year, we were a finalist for 2 national awards, and I was a finalist for Social Impact Founder of the Year from the Midwest Women Tech Founders. But here's the thing, when I started sharing the reason behind what we were doing and the why behind why we were doing it, people became much more interested in us and what we were doing. We got more customers and we started winning awards. Not because we were really doing anything different, but because we were sharing our why and we were putting ourselves out there. with Spring 4, I really wanted to take away the shame that people feel when they're experiencing financial challenges, and truly believe that when people have problems, they deserve to be connected to resources that can help them. And I've built a successful company around that, and my personal experience has led me to lead from a place of authenticity and credibility. I've spent my entire career working to help people, and that makes me the right person to lead Spring 4. So my advice to you is, is to look for the hidden gifts in your past. Sometimes it's something we've struggled with, and look at it and think, how can you use that to help others? Dale made these cool slides for me. To see the hidden gifts along the way. So it's taken me 13 years to get to this point and to have all these successes that we've had in the last couple of years. And, you know, I've learned a lot about patience. It's 13 years is a long time to be building a company. Resilience. I mean, you have a lot of no's before you get to the yeses. And facing my fears. I'm super proud of where we're today, and when I look back on it, I really had no idea the success that we would have, or the journey, or just the opportunities that I've had, you know, as a leader of my company. Dale added this one on me, sneaky. See the hidden gifts others see in you. So this goes back to when I first started our company with my partner. I had the original idea to do, you know, what Spring 4 does, and I was telling my husband about it. He's like, well, you should just start a company. I'm like, what do you mean I start a company? He's like, why don't you take like $5,000? You and Michael each put in $5,000 and start a company. And I was like, oh my God, no, that's so much money. Like, what if we fail? So the message in this is, you know, sometimes people know ourselves better than we do, and to listen. When people tell you something about yourself, like, trust them and believe in them and just go and do it. And last but not least, uncover hidden gifts that you might be hiding and share them. I think when you get the courage and you share them, you're going to see that the world will be a much better place because you have shared your gifts. So thank you so much for allowing me to share my story.
Rochelle, that was so good. And was I one of the 3 people in your freelance team that you mentioned, or you said I was part of her graphics team, right?
Oh, no, so that's one more. But I didn't pay you.
So Rochelle and I go way back being preschool moms together, and our daughters are here tonight. So what is that, like 10 years or so? About?
2 years ago.
Okay. And honestly, I knew you were a founder, but I had no real idea. So thank you for sharing all that you've been through and the hard work that's gotten you here. And I love the fact that it did come from your own personal experience and something that left an imprint on you, like the other speakers tonight, something that left a deep imprint, and that idea that sometimes our wounds are really the sources of our gifts, or where our gifts lie. So, but does anyone have any questions for Rochelle?
I'm curious what you studied at Michigan State, because it's hard for me to see, you know, as a young person, how you came to where you ended up.
Okay, well, technically my major was, get ready for this, I hated going to the bar and getting asked, what's your major? I always wanted to be like, nursing. Justice, morality, and constitutional democracy, with a dual major in American public affairs, social relations, and a minor in econ. Basically, it was like pre-law and sociology.
Anybody else?
What was your road after Michigan State, like in between Spring 4?
Yeah, so I finished Michigan State and I moved to Chicago with $300 in an internship that didn't pay me. But I started as a community organizer. And I have to tell this is a really crazy story. So when I won that award, when I was at Michigan State, it was a great school to go to because of Lansing as the state capital, I interned for Senator Donald Regal, who was the chairman of the U.S. Banking Committee at the time. So when I won this award, afterwards we had a dinner, and he was there. And I was like, oh my God, my very first job, the reason I wanted to go into housing was I worked on your homeless housing task force in like the 90s. And then the guy who gave me the award, he actually was the chairman of the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, which is like a federal banking regulator that we had protested many times. And I had been outside his office with like a busload of community leaders. And when he called me to tell me that I won the award, I was like, do you recognize my name at all? So it's just like a really weird full circle moment.
Anybody else? What are you afraid of now?
Stroking out. Thank you, Janine. In my business, well, I still don't like pitching. I mean, it's a very artificial thing. Like you have like 3 minutes and you have like certain things you have to get across. And I also feel like our company's story, like it takes a little bit longer to get out. Like I didn't really tell you like the ins and outs of how we do what we do, but it's not really something that anyone else is doing. So I feel like it's not just like, oh, it's an app where, you know, you can round up and save for college or something. So I don't know. I still don't really like talking. Now I'm fine.
I'm just curious what the spring form means.
Oh,
how did you come
yeah. So originally when we formed our company, we were called Mortgage Keeper because we were just really in the mortgage space. And a few years ago, we realized that we could really help anyone, no matter, you know, where they're at in their life. So we changed to Spring 4, and we are basically the domain was available. And like spring has a very positive connotation. Like it could be the season of spring, so it's rebirth and starting over, or spring, like the motion, like, you know, you're springing forward. And then 4 was going to be because we were going to have 4 products. So we, at the time, we had 2 products and we're launching a mobile app. So that was 3. And then we're like, well, spring 4. But then it kind of evolved into we have like 4 key principles at our company. And that's what the 4 stands for. And you can go to spring4.com.
Rochelle, thank you so much. Say, Rochelle, I love the fact that you were humble. Like, you know, you show a humility about what you're doing and hiding it from people. But when it was time that you had to come forward, you did. And if any of you have seen the, what was Simon's Knowing Your Why TED Talk, the Golden Circle is just fantastic. So I definitely recommend that. Okay, what a great way to wrap up our first year of Everyday Deep. So we have had 8 creative forums so far, and 24 women present, offering something of the how and why and what of their unique journey. We have a number of them here tonight, and if you just give a round of applause for all these women again. Thank you for supporting all of them. New people who are here to see our speakers tonight, women who have been here time and again, supporting Cindy and I and getting this started. We truly do appreciate you, and we hope that you feel supported. That, you know, this whole thing is, again, to feel part of a community and to receive the support of other women. So if you can stay afterward and connect, we'd love that. So thank you again for coming tonight. And and especially want to thank people who have helped us tonight, especially when I was laying on the couch in the back, and other events too. Angela Lovelace, Heather Ploon, Melissa Noto, Kathy Emmett, Cindy Neiman, Elaine Pagels, Kristen Rafferty, Jerry Emmett, Roberta Ward, and I really hope I didn't forget anyone. But thank you all so much for your help.
Is this on? I guess I'll just. Hello? Yes. This is the part where I just now read what Dale wants me to say at this point. So we're off for December. Happy holidays. Next time we meet in January, and the theme is Shift Happens. There are little reminder cards on the ledge there on your way out the door, so grab one of those. It'll be a New Year's exploration of ways we change our lives and let our lives change us, whatever happens. We have 3 more great speakers. Oh yeah, and you've heard of the phrase, throw your backpack over the wall, because when you do that, then you have to go get it. We're working on something new and exciting for next year, so stay tuned and watch for an email coming. Every Day Deeper, Dale and I are talking about doing some small groups in the new year. So, you know, you're sitting out there and you're watching everybody up here with the microphone and the spotlight on them, and you might think this is where the magic is, and this is what Everyday Deep is all about. But I would disagree. I think that the magic happens with you when you leave here feeling inspired or supported in some way. Perhaps a seed has been planted, something that you've heard and experienced. So go out there and do that, right? Yeah. So until next time, we wish you happy holidays. Please stay and visit with one another, but while you're doing that, fold your chair and put it over to the side.